All right, we are starting. I hit record. Welcome everyone. I'm Joy Taylor. I'm going to be your companion guide today. And I'm so thrilled to see 66 of you at the moment joining us. That's a master number, so something good's going on. 12. We must be disciples. All right, more are going to join, and I'm really happy you're here. So the intention of today's masterclass is to walk you through some of the basics of teaching online. I have been giving free masterclasses for the last, this is my third, 2 months, and then this month about teaching on Zoom. One of them was about the options and types of programs. The one last month was engagement features and how to wow and engage your participants. This one is really skill building. So we're going to go through some of the technology basics, some of the mindsets, and also leave room for Q&A. And I think that's what you're all expecting. Yes? Yes. Probably. All right, cool. Well, a little orientation to Zoom. I break the fourth wall, meaning I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I'm going to do a screen share, and I want to share with you my slides and just start by saying welcome. So happy you're here. And then I want to orient everyone to Zoom. So you can mute and unmute yourself. Right now I muted all of you, but there will be a little interaction because we're going to do Q&A. So at the bottom of your screen in the left corner, there's a microphone. You can mute and unmute yourself using that. You can also turn your video on and off in the same location. There's also the option to be in speaker view, which means you'll see who's ever speaking, which is mostly going to be me today with some interaction. Or you can do the gallery view, which is what most of you probably default and have, which is images of everyone. That button is in the far right corner. So you might want to even play with it, push it, see what it looks like for speaker view, see what it looks like for gallery view, and get comfortable with that. So we also have a chat feature, and I know people have already started chatting, and I'm going to prompt some chats. One thing I do want to say about questions, we will get to your questions. And what I really like is if you have a question and you're putting it in chat, put a Q before the question. Because otherwise there might be people commenting, and when my co-host Margie is going to ask the questions at the end of the class, it'll be easier for her to find them if you put a Q and then your question. And I recommend you do the same in your classes. What I really recommend you do is orient people to Zoom, make sure everyone's comfortable, and then let people know you're going to be using the chat, but it's going to be prompted. And I really do encourage you guys today. It's nice when you send messages like, yeah, far out, totally agree. You can. And I will have some times when I just actually want you to chat because I want to know, I want to get a pulse. I want to really get a feel for where we're at and who we all are. All right. So thrilled to be here. And let's take a deep breath. Yeah. Think about why you're here. Maybe tune into the people you serve and your desire to continue to serve them in a time right now. And I'm going to invite us to do one more thing, which is just a quick release so that we can be fully present here today. So take your hands together and rub them and release. We're going to do it 3 times. Yes, one more, hands together. And when you release, let go of what you were thinking about. Let go of your to-do list. It'll be there one more time. And then the intention is really, we're doing this for the mission, whatever your purpose is, wherever you are, who you are, there are people who want what you have to offer. And I firmly believe the more that you are professional, intelligent, yourself, authentic, and skilled online, the better results your people get. And that's what I care about. And I think it's what you care about too. So I really congratulate you. Thank you for being here. Very cool to be here, to do this, and to show up. And I want to know who's here. So if you want to quickly chat, what do you teach? You don't have to put your name, but like a core in one sentence or two. What do you teach? What do you share? What's your message? And you're going to put that in the chat and we'll read those out loud. So what is it that you share? I teach piano, yoga. This is going to be fun because I already know some of the answers. WESAC, oh, you're here. Nutritional consultant, love and intimacy, communication, personal growth, Jinshin, Qigong, education, Native American women, change makers, meditation, belly dance. Ooh, do that online. Speech, acting, leadership, health and wellness, Qigong, sound healing, psychotherapy, music, learning and healing with horses, coaching young entrepreneurs, sound healing, wine tasting. That would be interesting online. Priestess arts, poetry, art, awareness. I didn't read them all. So many came so fast. But so this is who's here. So we are a collection of people who are making a positive impact. And I believe we're in a transitional time on the planet where more of these services, we're pioneers in the broad scope of it. You know, maybe not so much in the Bay Area. A lot of people are already aware of this, but the world is ready for more of us who are comfortable in the unknown. My sense is that's a lot of you. Plant-based nutrition, a medium, channel, culture design, spiritual teacher. All right, welcome. You're all welcome here. And let's get to the information because I know you want it. And I will say that I will do my best to speak slowly, but I also want to really give you an hour of power and then 15 minutes of Q&A. And so that's going to be the rough framework of what we're doing. We oriented to Zoom. We chatted. Who's here today? I encourage you to turn off your phone, put it on, you know, mute, airplane mode, and just be 100% here. This is the bird's eye view of what we're covering today. I want to talk a little bit about program design because you're all wanting to move online and you're going to continue to share your gifts with your clients. So one of the big questions people usually have at the beginning is, do I do a webinar or a meeting, and what's the difference? So I want to talk about the different types of online programs so you have a sense of your options. And then a little bit about helpful equipment besides your computer and a Zoom or video conference account. What else might support you? I have a gift for you. It's the trainer prep checklist. It also has a section on how to bring in a co-host and what their role is. I'm briefly going to make sure you feel comfortable with your host control panel and your account set up for security. So that's what we'll do. Step one, when you choose your video conference software, the most important things are, is it easy for your participants to use? Does it have engagement features? Typical engagement features, a chat like we just did, screen share like I'm doing right now, polls like we'll do in a moment, video viewing, which is all of us seeing each other. Can you mute? Is it mobile friendly? And then reporting features. For many of you, you want evaluations or attendance reports. And then you want flexibility in your recording and where you store it. And then also you want to be empowered to have registration that is customizable. So having said that, I've been using Zoom since 2015. So it's been about 5 years now. I have to look at my account to find the date, but I was an early adapter to online teaching, having worked with GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar prior. I love Zoom. It is a leader. And guess what? There will be more leaders. We're seeing a change in the industry. So I do like Zoom. I use it because it's my preference, but I want to say if you've already committed to another software program, everything I cover today will apply. And there's a lot of different options out there. You know, I'm hearing about new ones too, but Siskiyou and WebEx and GoToMeeting, Intermedia, Webinar Ninja, Skype, Teams, Google Hangouts. There's lots of options. And usually you have your free or your upgrade. If you're a professional, pay for the professional. Go for the pro. In whatever software you choose, you'll have more options, more flexibility. It's going to be more accountable, and it's just the cost of doing business. So I recommend making sure that you have a professional account. And most of these companies have a really good sales team. They'll walk you through what is going to make sense for you and your organization. And then, time for another deep breath. This is not native for everyone. Not everyone is comfortable online and teaching online, or feels like they can really transform their in-person events to online, or transmit the energy that they feel they can do in person online. And I'm here to share with you that no, it's not high touch. No, it's not the in-person setting, but there are ways to make it safe, to make it intimate, to make it connected, to bring your energy into what you do and invite your participants to do the same. So there's a mindset switch and an opportunity to just say yes to learning the technology, say yes to the delivery, and just mostly that comes from saying yes to your clients. When it comes to technology, what I know to be true is the best thing you can do is have the mindset that you can problem solve for yourself. So get comfortable with the tutorials, get comfortable with whatever software like Zoom. They have videos, they have searches. I sometimes go to YouTube to search for independent videos that give more information that empower me to be a better trainer online. So I'm going to talk a little tech today, but what I want to give you even more than that is like a big reminder. When in doubt, Google search it. How do I XYZ with Zoom? How do I create a waiting room in Zoom? Go to your Zoom and ask the question and you'll find out. And so this is just a really important piece that I want to add to it by saying, block out a little time to get really comfortable with the software you're using. So we spend a lot of time marketing, we spend time creating our courses. How much time do we spend getting comfortable with the software? And I'll also talk about the benefits of having a co-host so that you're not having to play so many roles, right? You know, it's kind of like when you speak in person. How many of you do larger events and speak in person? I'm guessing a lot of you are doing that. And how often do you have a tech person taking care of your microphone and your music? Yeah. And how often do you have an assistant maybe doing handouts? This is what your co-host can do for you, and it's really helpful to do it online. Okay, so I am going to do a poll because I want to get a feel for your experience with online programs. So I'm going to launch a poll that I created prior to our live event. And I'm asking you, it should pop up on your screen, what is your experience with online events? And it's multiple choice. You can pick as many as you like. Have you attended webinars or attended meetings, live online classes? Have you been a panelist? Have you hosted and produced your own webinars or hosted and taught live classes? How about Facebook Lives? So I see we're getting some responses. Ooh, we're up to 40%. I'm going to give it a little time. Take your time and respond to all that are true for you. While we do this, Margie, my co-host, if you want to go off mute and just give me a pulse, anything I need to know about.
Nope, we're doing good. I'm capturing questions on a list. We've got quite a few, but we're doing great.
Okay, so let's give Margie a round of applause, you guys. Margie is crazy. If you can have a Margie in your life, you're doing well. She's the director of programs at A Soul Inspired Life, and I feel really supported. Okay, so it's been a minute, which is about how long I usually run polls. So I recommend if you do polls, give people about a minute. I'm going to click the end poll button, and I'm going to share the results with all of you. 96% of you have attended meetings or live online classes, well, including today, right? Many of you, a 90% attended webinars. I'm looking here. Very few Facebook Live. Some of you have hosted and produced your own webinars, and 23% of you, great, have hosted and taught live online courses. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. And I hope you gain some value today too. Wonderful. So this is who's here. That was a poll just to get the pulse so I know who I'm connecting with. It's interesting because I have been teaching people how to teach online for quite a few years, and the numbers have changed. I used to run similar polls and people would say, oh, I've attended webinars, or I registered and I never attended. I watched the recording. And as we all know, this is part of our culture now. So let's continue with the presentation and welcome some of you who just joined us. Did a poll. I put the polls in my slide presentation to remind myself it's time for a poll. I set up the poll in my account settings prior to today's meeting. Then I had to go into my actual meeting that I created and design the poll. I'm not going to go into the specifics of that, but I want to at least let you know it's very possible, and there's an awesome tutorial in Zoom about it. It's also something I cover in my 7-week program. We go way deeper into all of these engagement features and how to utilize them. So let's talk about the difference between a webinar and a meeting. Many software, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, Zoom, some of the others, there's a big differentiation, and I want to highlight a few of them. So as you're launching new events and programs, you're making really educated choices on what you want to do. When I think webinar, I think lecture hall. It's a lot of presentation. It's a great platform when you have many participants, like over 100. It's a wonderful thing to do when you're introducing a program. So many people use webinars as kind of a, hey, test it out, get a sample of my work. And then they use webinars to invite people into another program. Webinars also are predictable, so you can record them. I'm doing a meeting today because I like the interaction, I like the faces, but I often do webinars when I want to record them and replay them because we're not on video view. So that maintains privacy for the people who join, which is another good time to do a webinar when you want people to be able to join anonymously. When to use meetings. Meetings like today in this masterclass, this is all about like getting to know you, engagement. I promised Q&A, so it's much easier for me to have everyone on video view, easy for people to mute and unmute. There's more personal connection. They're wonderful for smaller groups. Like this is a small multi-session course with group coaching that I taught last fall. There's more audience participation, and actually it might not even be considered audience. It might just be you're facilitating a group together. And then there's other features like breakout rooms where you can put people into small groups to connect 1-to-1 or groups of 4. The big difference is it's not anonymous. Everyone's on video unless they turn off their video. All right. Virtual events. I use that term broadly. Virtual events meaning online events, and there's many types. Like I said, I did a masterclass on this. I have a free handout for you. I'll give you the link in your replay registration link so you can also download this handout. But you can do webinars, or a workshop or a masterclass, a one-time event. You can do multi-session courses where you're teaching, you're the expert, or maybe you want to lead a mastermind where you're more the facilitator and you're bringing out the knowledge of everyone present. Some people who are just starting in online might already have a private practice with, one-on-one clients, and they want to put together an accountability group where people are focused on showing up and making changes in their life and doing it in a group format. So when you're doing an accountability group, you're less the presenter and more the facilitator. And then a group coaching program is where you bring your expertise to a collective of people. I recommend multi-sessions for this, and different people get to ask questions. It's called side coaching, right? You're really present with whoever's asking the question. Usually you have a time frame, 5 or 10 minutes, and other people are learning from those questions. So an online program does not necessarily mean that you have to totally like build out your curriculum. You can do it right now today. You can bring together people for accountability. You can bring together your current clients for coaching. You can put together your material and do a webinar, a lecture. You can do what I'm doing, which is using a meeting for a masterclass. But the idea is there's a lot of options. And I know some of you had conferences and events like WESAC, right? Where you were expecting to bring people together for a live event with breakouts. So you're really looking at, how do I do a full day or a weekend event? And so there's nuances and choices to make. And I'm hoping that it's making sense that a webinar, if we were on a webinar today, you would see me and my slides. You would all be anonymous. I can invite you to chat, but there would be less interaction. So is that landing? Just raise your hand this way. Landing, okay, good, you're with me. I like that, like to know, super. Let me just highlight a couple of the other differences between webinar and meeting. And I'll say that the Zoom and the GoToMeeting and even the Skype Teams and the Google Hangouts are more meeting oriented and they cost less. Webinar add-ons are like $40 a month, but there are benefits to that. You know, there's a focused presentation to be made. And like I said, there's that repurposing of a recording that you can have as an evergreen 24/7 available gift to your participants. Key differences, and this is on any software you can see, they'll talk about this. The key difference is video sharing, right? So in a meeting, everyone's sharing their video. In a webinar, hosts and panelists only. I did a webinar yesterday. I produced it, brought on a guest, people pre-registered, and it was just Ashley and I and her slides. The participant list is in a meeting visible to everyone. You guys can look, if you click on, you know, you can look in the chat, you can look on the participants, you can see who's there, right? You can see names on videos. In a webinar, you're allowing people to show up without being seen or known. So maybe you have a sensitive issue, or maybe there's something that you're offering where people don't always want to just show up and be visible. And so a webinar could be useful. Email reminders. Webinars are geared towards giving people 1 week, 1 day, and 1 hour reminders. With the meeting platform, you have to manually go in there. People get a confirmation, but they don't get the reminder. And so attendance numbers sometimes drop unless you manually remind people of the meeting, which is what we did for our masterclass. And then file transfer, which we'll do in a little bit. That is only available in a meeting, and that's me sharing my handout with you. And also you can allow other participants to share their handouts. In a webinar, it's not an option. So those are some of the key pieces that I wanted to clarify, just to kind of support you in thinking through, what do I want to offer? And you know, what is the program? What is the outcome? What am I really looking for my participants? Okay, I have another poll before we move forward. So I'm going to pull up this next poll. What are your 2 biggest challenges to leading online programs? And I'm encouraging you, just give me 2. Pick the 2 that are the biggest challenges in your mind. I'm getting a few responses. And we all know challenges are opportunities, right? So we have, we're at over 60%. Take your time. Yeah, there's opportunity here. There's opportunity to learn new skills for sure, and to get better at them. I'm always an advocate, you know, start where you are, recognize, you can't get from A to B if you don't know where you are. So where are you? And if technology is the big issue, then that's where you want to focus, which is a matter of either hiring some help or giving yourself the discipline to watch the videos, right? And once again, I said this at the beginning, but if you really know your purpose and your mission and you want to help your clients get the results thereafter, it's so worth it. So I'm excited to share these results with you all. I'm going to end the poll. And so the number one response is understanding all the technical setup, registration, payment, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, we're teachers, we're healers, right? We're here to help people transform their lives. We didn't necessarily sign up, and I would consider myself one of those people too. I'm shocked that I've gotten this comfortable with technology. And it really happened for me when I hired a young woman to support me in tech, and I just wanted her to fix everything. She came to my house and she said, "I'm not fixing it. I'm going to show you how to fix it." And that was the day my life changed. And that was in 2010 when I was responding to a grant to bring an online program to a women's business center. And she changed my life. And I hope if you walk away with nothing other than that, that you walk away with the willingness to actually find your own answers, or the support of someone who helps you learn how to find your own answers. And it can be a little balance of both. I don't do all my own tech. Margie, my co-host, is also my director of programs. She's waving. I love that you did that. So, you know, she helps me set things up. And you can do the same. So then we have 48% say designing my program. Yeah, so I agree. And that's something we cover in my 7-week class a lot. How to start with the end in mind and make sure that you know the benefits and results your clients are getting. Then you create the content and the activities to help them get there, module by module or session by session. So program design, what are the results and outcomes? Each module. What's the content and what are the activities to help them get there, both in class and outside of it. Feeling confident, a couple people said, it looks like the third largest is filling your class, marketing it. Yeah, right. And that's also something I cover in the 7-week program, because putting together a forward motion plan that really attracts clients takes a little thought and time. And it really is all about you being authentic in your voice, leading with results, leading with the benefits. So, okay, well, that helps me. And it's just kind of interesting to get a sense of where we're all at. So we are going to move forward, and I want to take a quick pause because it's been half an hour and I've got another half hour of content to empower you and educate and support you. And I would love to know in chat, is this valuable? So far, what's something that you learned? A few people. What's something new that's coming forth? Yes, it's valuable. Thank you. Change name. Yeah, that's good. Claire says nothing new yet. You must be experienced on Zoom. Yes, use of polls. Laughing, it's valuable. Importance of a co-host. Yeah, it can be helpful, especially in large classes. Thank you for the polling, the webinar webinar. I'm going to use this to create the Mount Shasta event conference online. Wow. Yeah, that's a big leap. Congratulations, Andre. Use of polls. I'm so incredibly grateful. Great. Results and outcomes. Okay. So good trainers always kind of pause and ask, what have you learned so far? What are you getting out of this? For the sake of the learner, but also for my own sake, I do want to get a sense. Now, in my smaller classes, and I cap my classes usually to 24 people, there's way more time to not just chat, but to discuss. And I just want to appreciate you all for being willing to show up today and just receive so much of my talking. And I want to give you lots of ample time to also apply it. Okay, looking for more functional details. Yes, I think we're getting there next. Okay, and I know you have a lot of questions. So we have 98 people, and so we're doing our best to accommodate all of you in the basics and some advanced Q&A. So I just gave you a little poll, and it was, what are your biggest challenges? And did you notice that this poll was also an inquiry moment? And so polls can be utilized to get the pulse of the people, to help people inquire, and they can also be used to introduce ideas. So there's lots of ways that you want to integrate either chats or polls or conversations or activities into your programs. Want to just talk a little bit about, gonna get techie now, how you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you repurpose it and that you know your storage options, so that you are, I'm going to correct this as we go, that you are able to take what you do and support the people who were present in watching the replay, but also supporting the people who registered and couldn't be there live in watching the replay. And we had, it's really interesting, we have 99 people here, and we had almost 200 register. And just a little note, when you're giving something for free, I do want to state this because it's really, this is what I have learned since 2010. Usually when you're giving something free, you are going to get between 30 and 45% of people showing up live. So you want to make sure that it's really clear in your promotion that the replay will be available to all who register. And so that's what I'm doing today. So you're recording your presentation. This is if it's free. If people pay for things, you usually get 80 to 90% attendance. People are committed. Either way, you've got to record it. People always ask, will it be recorded? And part of the benefit of the recording is to be able to check back and learn things. Or if you're doing participation and you're having people experience things, they get to rewatch it. So where do you store that? You can store it in Zoom. You can store it in YouTube. You can purchase a learning management system. There's other links like Dropbox, Google Drive, the iCloud, or Box, where you make sure that you email all your registrants, give them a link to watch the replay. Your website, depending on your website, you can have password protected areas or unlisted areas, or you can purchase a learning management plugin. So these are some options, but for the quick, do it now individual who wants to start really going virtual, just save it to the Zoom cloud or save it on your computer and upload it to one of these cloud links from YouTube to Dropbox, and give people that private area where they can watch the replay. Because I know this is a big question for a lot of people, and if you have more in-depth questions on that, you know, that's probably not going to happen in this masterclass, because you need to customize and make this work for you. And learning management systems are basically, the LMS is the terminology in this arena for where you build out your online programs. All right. I think I'm going to, just for the sake of time, just whip through the next two slides and then really get into tech, because I got the feedback people want tech. But I do want to just emphasize, for program design, you're all about serving. You want to serve the people who want your work. And if you're not sure what they want, survey them. You could have an application before the program. You could do a poll the first day. But whatever you're doing, you're really getting clear, what do your participants want? And then get really crystal clear, what are the results they're going to get at the end of your program? And invite the participants to actually create something tangible. So what could be tangible? It could be a plan. I mean, you guys, some of you yoga instructors, maybe what's tangible is a daily yoga, that they start doing daily yoga and they have a system to track it. You know, so there's something that they walk away with that is for sure qualitative, like a change and a transformation. But the more you can also create something tangible, the more people like start feeling into the possibility of the results. And then it's got to be relevant. And also I recommend, to make things relevant and worth their time, include some handouts. And I'll get to your handout today in a moment. So, what thoughts do you have? I'm actually going to just pause for a moment and I want you to take a couple notes for yourself. And I'll give you 30 seconds. So it's not a lot of time, but a little time. What ideas do you have for your next program? How will you find out what your participants want? What tangible outcome will they get? And why is it important right now? And I'm going to set the timer and give you guys a moment to write a couple notes for yourself. Ten more seconds. All right. So that's what I call a timed activity. And I encourage you in your programs. So you notice, like every few minutes, I'm doing a poll, I'm asking you to chat, or I'm asking you to, inviting you to inquire, to write things down. For the sake of today, I made that short. I often give people timed activities that are like a minute. But you know, it lets you take the material and it supports participants in taking the material and doing something with it. Anyone want to write a chat? Why is what you offer relevant right now? Why is what you're offering relevant right now? By the way, that exercise is the beginning of marketing. It's just the very beginning of program planning and marketing. Yeah, creating breathing space, immune enhancing, very valuable. Peace of mind, super relevant right now. We all need movement totally at home. People get stagnant. I love it. Support people who feel disconnected. Self-help, yeah, love it. Self-discovery, plant-based, singing. And why is it relevant? So why is it relevant in today's environment? What we're seeing with this coronavirus is the need to place into context what we do into this pandemic, into the fact that people are staying home and maybe feel isolated or have extra time or are worried about things. Learn a new skill, movement, stress reduction. Yeah, why is it relevant right now? Connecting deeper with nature in a time where it's easy to feel unconnected. So you see how you create more relevance, and this really helps in marketing. Yeah, astrology, a lot of amazing things happening right now, and people have a lot of questions, so it's relevant because there's a lot of unknowns, and astrology might be a way to make sense of it all. How do you take these beautiful gifts and make it relevant? And you can ask your clients if you don't know. Yeah, oh my gosh, helping couples, it's easy to disconnect under stress, and most people are under stress right now. So this is great. I appreciate all of your like inquiry yourself into tuning in. Why am I relevant? And I would say this is something you could do after the masterclass. You know, really, what are the results people are going to get from your program, and why is it so relevant? And if you don't know, find out what they want. Ask them in your Facebook groups, in your email list, call a couple of your current clients. What really matters right now to them? Yeah. Traumas make it difficult to cope right now. So it's a good time to do the deep healing. And that was a comment from Audrey. Yeah, essential oils for immune, for staying centered. So keep it in context and you'll do really well in your outreach, in your client attraction. So I'm modeling as I'm going, and I told you I'd break the fourth wall throughout this masterclass. So this is what I call a timed activity. It's a moment for reflection for participants to actually think about, how does this apply to me? We spent 30 seconds. I often give people at least a minute. I also usually put people in breakout rooms so they can share with each other, you know, what they learned. For today's purposes, because I know a lot of you have a lot of information you want in a short period, I chose not to do a breakout because I really want to get to more of what to do technically. So during your program, facilitate connection with breakout rooms, with group shares, with calling people by name. Some of you who came in 10 minutes early, I'm welcoming you. I'm asking who's here. I'm like on. And that's what you want to be. You want to be on in your most authentic way. I'm on in the sense of I'm here to serve. And then in your program, are there ways that you can build in accountability? So as you're thinking through your virtual events, are there assignments for next sessions? Are there group shares, breakout sessions, ways that people are going to keep showing up? Even in a weekend event, are you going to come back to the main conference and you're going to ask a few people to share? Are you going to have people reflect about what they learned in their smaller groups before they move out into their smaller groups? Accountability to be there. Maybe they get accountability buddies or groups. And then celebrate as you go. Celebrate in your multi-session courses, your 7 weeks, your 8 weeks, your 12 weeks. Have a midpoint presentation. If you are building into results, check in. How are people doing on that action plan? How are people doing on their desired result that you actually put in your promise? Just a side note, to be professional, that word comes from promise. So what are you promising your clients, and are you offering it in your delivery? All right, content creators. We talked about content, and now we're getting into account settings and registration. So it's one thing to have a great program and a message and promote it, but since so many of you were feeling like, yikes, tech, what do I do? I'm going to give you an overview, and I want you to take this in as an overview, not an overwhelm, because it has taken me 10 years to get really comfortable online. And so you might be faster than me, and I encourage you to just go forward and have the courage to make some mistakes. Albert Einstein says, life is like riding a bicycle. You have to keep moving to stay in balance. And business is like that too. If you want to be in balance, you want to be in momentum. So you don't have to perfect, but I want you to know a few things about your account settings and registration before you launch. So let's go there. First thing, in your Zoom, I'm gonna apply to Zoom, and because that's what most people are using, it's what I use. One of the first things you want to do is you want to, in your home page, click account settings and then click the meeting button. And that's going to give you the opportunity to set your defaults. Zoom will give you automatic defaults. Right now, those defaults have changed because of security. You may or may not want the defaults that are there. Now, this is true for a paid account. Free accounts don't have as much flexibility. Another good reason to make sure you pay for your account. But you get to choose if you want your video on when you start, if you want your participants' videos automatically on, or that they are given that option. There's scheduling a meeting account settings, which become the standard for every meeting you create. There's in-meeting basics. It becomes the standard for every meeting you create. And of course, you can change them before your meetings if you want to toddle through your settings. There's advanced features, email notification features, and admin options as well. So let's just talk a little bit about a few things that I recommend. Definitely turn on chat, unless you feel that it's distracting. If you are doing a yoga series and you don't want people to chat, maybe you turn that off. Do you want your participants to send private one-to-one messages to each other? Maybe, maybe not. I tend to encourage networking. I think it's really, because I work with entrepreneurs and I know you're all professionals, and you might see someone on the line you want to reach out to. Send them a quick chat. It's fine with me, but that's my preference. It might not be for you. And then, do you want to auto-save chats? So automatically save all in meeting chats so that the hosts don't need to manually save. I want to have record. I store everything I do. I have a folder for it, so I can go back and I can see what the chats were. In fact, I utilize reviewing the chats with Margie as a way to like fine tune my material and make it better in the future. So those are a couple of the many settings. Another one that's important is screen sharing. So right now I'm sharing my screen, and as a host, it's a button down below. And so you get to make the decision if you want your participants to be able to share a screen or not. And who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? I recommend host only. Now, this is a security issue right now. I have it on all participants because I have a co-host who's managing it, and because I teach small groups. I tend to have 24 people or 8 people or 12 people in some of my group coaching. And so often people, entrepreneurs, are pulling up their websites or their brand image or whatever they're doing, and we want to see them. But if you're really worried about security, I would have screen sharing for host only. Other security basics. Number 1, don't share your meeting link on social media or other public forums. I've seen a lot of Zoom links showing up on Facebook, and all that does is invites anyone to join your meeting at any time. Number 2, so this goes back to your account settings. So you can change, you can make changes too in your account setting, but have people register for your classes like we did today. Then only the people who register get the link. Number 2, avoid using your personal meeting ID to host public events. You don't want random people crashing your personal virtual space. So in your Zoom account, you have a personal URL ID. How many of you are familiar with this? I just want to get a pulse because I know this is kind of beginner level, but there's some people who aren't. So I'm going to take a moment for those of you who know, but you're given a personal URL. That's your space. It's awesome. You can use it for your private coaching clients. It can just be your standard place you meet people. Don't use it for your meetings. Don't use it for your classes. And you might even want to consider not using it for your private sessions. Because if I give that personal ID to all of my clients and they forget what time they're supposed to show up, they could bomb my other private client. Unless I have the waiting room feature, which I'll talk to you in a moment. But the tip number 2 here is don't use your personal ID for meetings. Yeah, so I'm seeing some shakes of heads, so that's good. All right. Carrying on with security technology, waiting rooms. So I've mentioned it a couple times. So what the heck is a waiting room? So the waiting room is an account setting in that account setting area under meetings. It's a helpful feature for the hosts to control who comes and goes, or the co-host. So if I had enabled the waiting room setting, people could not just randomly join. I would get a pop-up as the host saying so-and-so wants to join, and I admit them one by one by one. Not a bad idea. I like to use it sometimes, especially if I'm including meditation, activations, more grounding exercises in my classes. I don't want people just jumping in. I want them to wait until it's appropriate to enter the room. It's kind of like a class. You have an usher. So if you have a co-host, they're the usher. They close and open the door. And individually, if it's just you, that's all you're doing. And once again, that is a setting. It's called the waiting room. And once you're in and you're the host, it's pretty obvious. You get, notifications. You have to keep an eye on managing participants at all times, or have your co-host do that. Shut the doors. You can lock the meeting once you start. So when you lock a Zoom meeting that's already started, no new participants can join, even if they have the meeting ID and the password. So in the meeting, click participants at the bottom of your Zoom. This is as a host. In participant pop-up, click the button that says lock meeting. And so that is an option some of you might choose to do when you're going live doing your events. It really depends. I left it open today. I know people are busy. I got a lot of emails from people saying, I'm going to come to the last half hour. Some of you are here in the last half hour. Welcome. But that's also a preference that you can make. And then fifth, and probably most important, have people register, which means you're scheduling a meeting. You're not just giving your URL, your private meeting room, and publishing it. You're actually taking a moment to schedule a meeting. It can be a reoccurring meeting for like a 7-week class. You can click reoccurring meeting. It could be a one-time meeting, but you want to click on meetings, schedule a meeting button, and then it's going to walk you through how to schedule a meeting. The cool thing about scheduling a meeting, lots of great things. Everyone who registers gets the confirmation. They know your URL. If you choose, they have a password. So they're going to get that one-time confirmation. If it's a meeting, if it's a webinar, they're going to get the confirmation. Then they're going to get 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour reminders. You set the time. And when you launch your meeting, you have to go to your meetings to start the meeting. It also allows you to set up polls. It allows you to prearrange breakouts. So I'm a big, big, big fan of starting meetings. I'm gonna talk about hardware a little bit for our last 7 minutes, but before I do, Margie, if there's anything really burning in the hopper of something I've covered so far, otherwise I'll just finish up and then we'll do Q&A. Anything you want to add or anything I missed?
No, there are lots and lots of questions, but a quickie before people have to log off at the top of the hour. Joy, did you say you're going to make a copy of the slides available? I didn't catch that, and people were asking throughout the class.
I am happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, we will have the full recording coming out in an email as well.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about a few more things about getting ready for your meeting. And I want to also get you the file transfer here and show you where you can download the handout. So let's talk a little bit. And the recording, how soon? You'll get it. I always say within 24 hours. Sometimes we're really fast. It really depends. Because this is something I do want to say. There's always glitches, whatever that might be. I'm recording to my computer right now, so it's going to be faster. Zoom is a little slow when you record to the cloud, but I tend to send out within 24 hours. I would anticipate by tomorrow morning you'll get the recording, as will anyone who did register. Does Zoom accept payments for registering the online event? I'm just going to jump to that. Yes. If it's a webinar, yes, it integrates with PayPal. If it's not, no. So you need to create your own way for people to buy your product before they get the link to register. Great questions. Lots of information today. I don't know if I've given this much information in an hour in a while. So let me just finish up with a couple tips here. Extra hardware, because people were asking this question. So here's the deal. If your phone, test your internal mic on your computer, get on Zoom with someone else, ask them how it sounds. Often these newer computers, it sounds great. If you want to up your sound quality, I recommend the Yeti. Now, if you're doing a movement class, you might need to get something a little different, like, a mic like this, right? That plugs in, because you might be raising your screen and standing back and you're a ways away. So I would just do some Google searching, but if you're doing movement, often something like this is helpful. If you're sitting and teaching, I recommend the Yeti mic. All right, so let's share the screen again, and then lighting. Once again, test, go on Zoom. You can have a Zoom meeting with yourself and just, how does it look? I use a ring light. There's tons of options. I just have like one of the 6-inch ring lights that I use. There's bigger ones. This has worked really well for me, and it has a warm setting, a cold setting. So you want to avoid this. So this means there's too much light in front of you. Like you need to bring your window shades down or block the window light in front of you. So you need to toddle between getting enough light so you don't appear dark and having too much light. Other tools, a timekeeping device like that timed activity. I just use my phone. Have water, have your teaching notes, any show and tell tools. I set intention and I light a candle for my programs because I really like to just be present and be real when I teach and be in a prayerful space. You might want to do the same. Prepare yourself, your vocal warm-ups, your energy warm-ups, your appearance. I have a trainer prep checklist. You will get it when you get the recording, and also a host co-host roles list. And so print it and use it. It's a fillable PDF, and it goes through a lot of things such as making sure your internet connection is fast enough. 1.5 Mbps is the minimum required for Zoom. I mean, you can see I've got great internet where I live, and I paid for it because I don't want internet glitches. I also hardwire my computer. You probably don't want to use Wi-Fi. If you can, do a hardwire. It is just more reliable. Check your speed a half hour before you teach, and periodically, always a good idea. And then prepare your desktop and your browser. So clear alerts. You don't want to be teaching and have like some romantic message coming in from your husband, or maybe you do, but good idea to clear alerts. They're very distracting. Clean your desktop because you might be sharing it or push the wrong button and share it. Have all the slides that you need open, like right here, this PowerPoint was open, and arrange your URLs in case you are going to be sharing URLs with people. All right, so the handout's going to come to you in the recording. And then I want to just talk a little bit about your Go Live meeting host control panel. And there's so many resources available for you. But you can see right today you're a participant, so you don't have the polling, you don't have manage participants, you don't have record or breakout rooms unless it's been enabled. So as a host, this is your, what do they call it? It's like you're driving. It's, you know, it's like, this is you with a dashboard, and these are your options. So practice, you know, I do recommend people start with small classes if you can, and you have an intimate group of people and you can just get a group of 6 together. Start experimenting, tell them it's a pilot, give them a discount, or find some valued friends, get on Zoom, push the buttons, watch the tutorials, so many options, managing participants, muting people, looking at the chat, and then these breakout rooms, which is just a ton of fun. And if you've never done one, oh, look forward to sharing that with you in the future. Okay, so, well, before I go into this, I just do want to say, here's the bullet points. Watch and read the tutorials. Get in the mindset of finding solutions. Create your program design based on the outcomes and results, and make your marketing copy relevant, and then practice. You know, the way to get confident at anything is to practice. I love that whole concept of the Olympic ice skating medalist who got a new coach, and the first thing that he taught her was how to fall, because he knew she was going to fall. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, there's going to be mistakes. It just happens on online environments. It happens in your live environments, I'm sure. You know, there are things that happen. So we only get better by being willing to make mistakes, having the courage to make mistakes, and practicing. And that's where true confidence comes. And I know you guys can do it. And I know now is a time more than ever to just start with what you can do. Start with what is comfortable. And if you want to go deeper with me, I'm next Tuesday starting a 7-week program. It's called Lead Online Programs. I developed this program last year. This is my 2nd cohort. I love this program because we go through how to design your programs with activities and results, I support you and the small group. I cap the program in mastering online delivery. You actually get to be the host and practice things. Uh, Also supporting you in setting up registration in a professional, clean, clear way, figuring out some of the money transaction issues, support you in crafting a landing page, and filling your program with a powerful promotional plan. So I'll include the link to this program. And Margie, if you want to put it in chat for people who want to look at it right away, if you're interested in joining me for this program, there's still some room, although doors close in 6 days. And I really am happy to invite you to be a part of this small cohort and really design your program. I believe that the cost, the investment, the $597 investment will come back to you easily in your first program, because you will really have a lot of tools and skills and marketing know-how to make it really good. All right, I'm going to just go to Q&A because I think that's what people want. I'm reading the vibe. I'm going to go to Q&A, and I'm going to go off of my stop screen share. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lots of information. I saw people taking notes, and I kind of paid attention to the chat, but I'm so grateful. Margie, do you want to lead us in Q&A? And I also just, yeah, in the chat, there's the link if you want to learn more about the program. I will send you the replay. I will send you the trainer prep handout. And you are welcome to review this, be in touch with me. I do a masterclass every month, so I will give you the heads up on what we're doing next month, which is all about visibility and bringing your authentic self online. And are you willing to be seen? Are you willing to really show up in a time where people want, probably need, the gifts that you give? Yeah. If you need to leave, I understand, but we did specifically set this one up for an extra 15 minutes Q&A. So Margie, let's do it.
All right. Thank you, Joy. That was a lot of information. I had many, many questions. I've copied them. If we don't get to them today, we will try to answer them in the follow-up email. And someone also asked me if we could include some links to Zoom tutorials. So I already promised one on breakout rooms.
Great.
And so we'll go through the questions. And so if we don't cover them all, we'll do our best to answer them in a follow-up.
Sounds like a new handout to create, Margie. Like the most important tutorials on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. All right. So what I tried to do was organize the questions, and I'll just tell you what I'm looking at on my screen, just kind of break the fourth wall as a co-host. I've got the Zoom group chat in one window. I've got a file, just a word processing program open where I had different categories, and I copied and pasted from the chat into the questions. And then I also put in here the questions that we got before the webinar. And so I'm going to look through the tech questions. So we had some questions about audio and if you can have different sounds playing at the same time. And we did a little bit of research. Joy, do you want to talk about that, or do you want to follow up about audio questions in the email?
I think we'll do a little bit in the email. I mean, we covered a bit, and you can play videos, you can have background music, but I really recommend testing. And so if you're like a musician and this really matters, this might be a time to hire a sound engineer, or to Google search best option sound engineer. But the simple answer is you can absolutely play music behind you. It will, your mic, whether it be a Yeti mic or your computer mic or this mic, will pick it up. But test it. And one way to test anything is go on a Zoom meeting by yourself and record it, and then listen to it. Just do a 10-minute recording, a 5-minute recording, 1-minute recording, and then watch it.
Yes, so absolutely. And someone had asked about that too. You just start up Zoom, you click on recording, and you talk into it. And then you end it, and you record it, and you look at it afterwards. So I also do that when I'm practicing. I record my Zoom session. And just as a tech person who always expects the worst, once I have my recording, it's a backup. So if something happens during the meeting, I have that whole presentation already recorded in case I need it. Let's see. Um, some of these are very technical. What speed is minimum for hardware internet access?
1.5 MB. Yeah, 1.5. And how did I find that out? I just Googled it, just FYI. So, but do test, do a speed test, speedtest.com. Yeah. And I see
um,
Masai going, yes, yes, yes. I've been there, and Louise's thumbs up. Okay.
And then there were some program design questions about length of sessions, working one-on-one, agreements about commitments to stay in the session the whole time, working across time zones. So we cover a lot of this in our program. Joy, do you want to address any of these program design questions?
Well, I do love the question about expectations and people joining. And I really, sometimes it's good to have an application or an intake, or for sure, if you're doing a multi-session course, you probably do this in person, right? But like, what are the guidelines? How do we create a safe container? And so I always set up my programs with some time talking about that and the benefits of showing up live for the community and for the sake of everyone growing and learning. Now that's for a very participatory course. And, you know, some people are doing informative courses and it might be a webinar course, but if you're creating community online, really good idea to set those expectations. And you can even include it in your marketing or your follow-up, but for sure the first class. I'll leave it at that. And then time zones, you know, just Google. There's some really good programs out there where you can just, you know, if it's 9 o'clock Pacific time, what time is it in Europe? And I have, most of my clients are in US and Europe. I have a few people in Malaysia. And so I tend to do my classes in the morning so people from Europe can join them, you know, so it's 8 to 9 hours. So you might think about that, but it has to do with who's in your, you know, who are your peeps? And also, when are you at your best? And people are chatting with resources, which I love, like YouTube on optimizing live music chat, time zone, timeanddate.com. Great. Okay, Margie.
One last general question, Facebook Live. So we had several technical questions about that. Do you want to address anything about using Zoom with Facebook Live at this moment? Because
Yeah,
we're
well,
running out of time.
you talked about record. And so when you press record as a host, you can record to the cloud, the Zoom cloud, which means it's going to live on Zoom and it needs to process before you are able to send people to watch it or you're able to download it. You can also record on your computer, and that gives you ability to store it other places. You can also record on Facebook Live. So it's actually kind of record / go live. So that's a feature. And you know what I would do? I just play with it, see if you like it. I actually heard from one of my colleagues that it's a little it's running into some bugs right now. We're in such an explosion right now of online learning that there's just technical bugs. But it's a great feature and it's a great way to interview people. Yeah. Margie, you want to add to that?
Just expect things not to go exactly as you hoped. And so I like to watch people who are doing the Facebook Live and the Zoom. So one of the ways is you just be a participant. And I see there's a time lag. And so just realize that you'll start it on Zoom and it won't show up in you're on Facebook, but you are on Facebook. And so there are just some things to watch out for. And I just want to share that as a tech person, just assume things will go wrong. Take a deep breath. It's really nice to work with Joy because we one of us is falling apart and the other one's very stable. So just realize that with tech things happen and you don't have to know it all. You can do the best you can, and we all know that, and we connect with that. Connection, not perfection, is one of my favorite sayings.
I love that, Margie. And then once again, you need a pro account to do the Facebook Live. Yeah. Other questions?
So I've kind of gone through all of them. Does anybody have a burning question that hasn't been covered that you want to put in the chat?
How do you integrate registration and payment? So if you're integrating on a webinar, there's going to be a tutorial on how to get PayPal. If you're not, you know, what I do for my programs, I use Kajabi as my learning management system, but you know, there's lots of options. You can have people enroll and pay for your class. Then you email them your Zoom link and possibly a password, because you've created the meeting, the reoccurring meeting, the class in your Zoom account. And so you have that unique URL. So you want to first, whatever payment system you're using, if you're really just brand new and need something quick, you can just really have people email you to register, send them a PayPal invoice. Once they register, send them the URL to join the class. And it can be that simple. You don't need to make it complicated, nor do you have to be perfect or professional or have a learning management system from the beginning. And we use Kajabi. So like our 7-week program, we have an online portal where we store all of the recordings. Someone asked me earlier about length of session. I like 2-hour classes. Today was an hour with this 15-minute Q&A. When I teach 2-hour sessions, like the lead online programs is 7 2-hour sessions, I usually take a bio break at about an hour and 5 minutes, roughly. And it's a 5-minute bio break. And I keep it to that. And I say, hey guys, turn off your video, go get some water, get a snack, stretch, go to the bathroom. We're going to start at, and I give people the time, and then everyone comes back and we get going. So a couple people asked about times. Now, if you're doing a weekend event, gosh, I have so much to say about this, but every at least 20 minutes, you have got to have something engaging, whether it's chat or a poll or a timed activity. There's 8 ways to engage. It's something I talk about in the course, but it includes activations, breath work, movement. That needs to happen. People need to have breakouts. They need to connect with each other. If you're doing a full day event, you're going to want to build in breaks. And I would get creative about like accountability and group shares. And you're going to want to come back for the next session, because 3 of you are going to have an opportunity to ask a question with our speaker, or get a private healing with our speaker. So you really want to bring people back and have a reason, manage the schedule. But for sure, at least every 20 minutes engagement. People can go an hour and a half, but not much longer without a 5-minute bio break. Great. Any insights on doing interviews? Oh, a million. I would prep a tiny bit, be yourself. Make sure you're interviewing good people. I don't know if you're the interviewee or the interviewer, but I personally like interviews, INNER/views. I like conversations between people better than pretending you're an expert. Be who you are. If this is a friend you've known for a long time, let people know, hey, I know this person. I know their body of work. And you can even in the interview say, hey, I love your work, but for beginners, for people who are new to you, what would you say the essence is? That's one comment I have. I just think sometimes it gets inauthentic when people are interviewing their best friends and they're pretending they're not best friends. Be best friends. That's my thought, is just have fun with your interviews and conversations and get vulnerable. People like that. People like the taking off the arrogance and the pretense and being real. People really love the being real. People want that right now. Does the recording go on a bio break? No, you turn off. You either stop it or pause it. And that's something else we talk about in the 7-week class. When I teach a 2-hour program, I usually divide it into 4, 20 to 30 minute modules. So I'm recording and stopping recording and starting recording and stopping recording, so that I have, when I post the recordings, they're based on sections of the material, so people can go right to the module. When I do breakout rooms, this is actually super important, pause the recording. Otherwise, people see you drinking, hanging out, waiting for people to come back from the breakout. So yeah, you have a lot of options with your record. When you download, so if you store your recording on Zoom, it's going to be available for people to watch via the link, only people who get the link, or you can download it as an MP4 and an audio. But you have to, once again, you have to go to account settings and make sure you set it up that way to record the chat, to record the polls, to get all those reports. Margie, you're so good at that. What else do you say about that?
So do some practice and download. And so I often, we record meetings and I'll edit them. And so I use a slightly different program for editing videos. And so the best way is to just jump in and just tell you that things keep changing with Zoom. So just, I can't answer that right now. I'm not sure if any of those settings have changed.
Yeah. Ah, wow. Well, thank you for being here. We'll compile a email that you'll get in 24 hours with the recording, the promised handouts. And I think, we'll just some of these articles that we recommend. And so I'm hoping that your takeaways are to spend a little time learning your platform, watch the tutorials. Thank you for the thumbs up. I look forward, any of you who want to join the class, I so would be excited. And the landing page answers lots of FAQs. You can get a lot more information. And most importantly, just keep doing the beautiful work you're doing. So thank you for being here at this time as a beacon of light and being willing to show up. And I look forward to the next time our paths cross. And let's give ourselves a round of applause. A little sparkle. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.